Greetings, everypony. Well, as many of you probably now know, whether you like it or not, the new Equestria Girls movie, Rainbow Rocks, was released in theaters last month. Sadly, I was not able to see it in theaters myself, so some friends and I had to contend with watching, for lack of a better word, bearable camera rip of the film. Hey guys, I can almost make out their facial features now.
Yay!
Yeah, I know. This is technically not the most legal thing in the world to do, but the internet was flooding with spoilers, and I really hate feeling left out. But anyway, I digress. After the film had concluded, my friends and I, in our regular fashion, engaged in some good old discussion concerning the film. What we liked, what we didn't like, some things that we found interesting, etc. And then one of my friends said something that got me thinking. We were talking about the main antagonists, the Dazzlings, who, for those who don't know, and I really hope that this won't be spoiling anything for anyone, are actually creatures of equestrian origin called the Sirens. My friend pointed out that the Rainbow Rocks representation of the Sirens was rather inaccurate, and went on to exclaim, with no small amount of exasperation, that MLP never seems to get its mythology right. Well, this is far from the first time that I have heard that complaint. Many fans of the show have, with great gusto, drawn attention to MLP's inaccurate portrayal of mythological beings over the seasons. Even my good friend, the Ponyville Critic, made a short video back in January drawing attention to the inaccurate portrayal of the Tatzelworm in Three's a Crowd. And I ultimately agree. I do concur that MLP is not exactly the most accurate representation of Greek, Persian, medieval European, etc. mythology. But this begs the question, is that really such a negative thing? Yes, we can all agree that MLP is filled with a diverse variety of mythological and cultural influences. However, influences is the key word here. Something that I have always held the show's staff in great regard for is their ability to draw inspiration from various sources, such as ancient mythology, and apply it to the established universe of the show in such a way that adds to the development of its own unique world. Yes, we do see minotaurs, hydra, chimera, cockatrice, griffins, and much else besides, but what we are seeing is the equestrian minotaur, hydra, chimera, etc. I mean, does this look like the murderous beast that stalked the passageways of the labyrinth in Crete? Of course not. This is the equestrianized adaptation of a popular Greek myth. And the same is true for most media that draws inspiration from mythology, not just ponies. Let's take the Dazzlings as the recent example that prompted this discussion. If we look at some ancient depictions of sirens as compared to their representation in Rainbow Rocks, both the obvious similarities and the exceptional differences become immediately apparent. Now, before I continue, I think that it's important to note that mythology in general does not exactly have the most stellar track record of consistency. Stories and depictions of mythological beasts can vary immensely from account to account. For example, I could say that the Dazzlings are an inaccurate portrayal of sirens based upon the fact that they do not have bird-like features, as sirens were typically portrayed to possess in early Greek records. However, at the same time, there is such a broad spectrum of variety insofar as to how much of the siren is bird and how much is human that even then there would be conflict over how accurate the movie's portrayal was. The point I am trying to make here is this. I really don't think that we should focus so much of our attention on how much the show got it wrong in its portrayal of these creatures with pre-established mythologies. Rather, I think that we should instead appreciate the difference in approach to these creatures and characters that the MLP writing and design staff took, and evaluate these new adaptations based upon their own merits, or lack thereof as the case may be. Now, this is not to say that we should disregard the mythological origins of these creatures completely. Quite the contrary. I just think that there should be a distinction between the show or movie's established universe and the universe from which the inspiration for these creatures originally came. Returning to the Rainbow Rocks example, I think that, given the established style and theme of the show, the siren's portrayal was far from uncalled for. Instead, I personally found it to be rather creative, as it melds the traditional mythological idea of the sirens, and a few other creatures, with the style and tone of the MLP universe to achieve comfortable compatibility. But I think I shall leave further discussion of the sirens for a future video. Now, I do genuinely believe that the mythology from which many of these beings originate can be observed as beneficial information, if not just, interesting, as opposed to being a source of contradiction. Through learning where the ideas for these characters and creatures came from, we can obtain a clearer understanding of their significance, and the reason that they were introduced into the series when they were. Which leads me to an announcement. Beginning next week, I will be starting a mini-series of analysis videos dedicated exclusively to discussing the origins and implementation of mythological creatures in Friendship is Magic, and will be released every other week between my normal analysis videos. This series should also help alleviate my schedule a bit, which will be very helpful for me, seeing as I'm balancing a moderately heavy work schedule with a full-time university schedule, and making videos for this channel in addition. But most of all, I think that it'll be both fun and educational, not to mention mutually beneficial, so I look forward to getting started on that next week. Alright, well, these have been my thoughts on mythological representation in MLP. Whether you agree or disagree, or have some ideas of your own to share, I encourage you to voice your thoughts below. As always, I am sure that there is plenty of material that I did not cover in this video, and as such I look forward to reading and responding to your comments. And if you liked this video, please consider clicking the like button below, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like it. So, until next week, I am Quilled Inc, and you have been Quilled In.